All right, let's dive into one of those fascinating days in chess where, if you only look at the final scores, you miss the entire story.
So I want to start with a number, and that number is 0. That's how many games had an actual winner in round 6 of the 2025 Sinquefield Cup. 5 games played, 5 draws. On paper, you'd think, well, that sounds like a pretty boring day.
But then you hear this. This is what the commentators on the live broadcast were saying. A great day, very exciting. How does that work? That's the paradox we're going to unpack. So you have to ask, right? How can a day with 0 decisive results be so full of drama? Well, to figure that out, you've got to ignore the scoreboard and look at what actually happened on the board.
And this whole story really kicks off with 2 different players who got so close to winning. I mean, they had victory right there in their grasp, only to see it just evaporate.
First up, we've got the French Grandmaster Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, or MVL as we call him. He had just completely outmaneuvered his opponent, Nodirbek Abdusattorov, and had what everyone thought was a completely winning position. It should have been game over.
You can really break this down like a little 4-act tragedy. So, Act 1, the setup. MVL plays brilliantly and gets this totally dominant position. Act 2, the climax. He cashes in his advantage for what looks like a winning endgame. But then, Act 3, the tragedy. He confidently trades down into a pawn ending, thinking it's an easy win, and that's when you get the final twist. The position was a dead draw the entire time.
He thought he was winning, the computers thought he was winning, pretty much everyone watching thought he was winning. But his opponent found the one single, incredibly narrow path to hold the draw. It was just a stunning turn of events.
And for MVL, this was becoming a really painful pattern in this tournament. As the commentators pointed out, this wasn't the first time. It was maybe the 3rd time he'd let a winning position slip through his fingers. And this one had to sting the most.
But the drama didn't stop there. Over on another board, the American wildcard Sam Sevian was having the game of his life. He had a massive advantage against the tournament leader, the one and only Fabiano Caruana. So imagine the pressure. You have a chance to take down the leader, a defining moment in your career. The commentators were trying to get inside his head, voicing that intense psychological battle he must have been having. It's one of the toughest decisions in chess. And this is the classic choice he faced. Do you go for it? Do you push for the win and risk it all for a shot at glory? Or do you take the safe draw, a fantastic result against a world-class player, and keep your undefeated streak alive? In the end, he chose the draw, but man, you have to wonder about the what-if. Okay, but for every story of heartbreak, there's another story of pure joy, right? So let's flip the script. Let's talk about the players who were staring defeat right in the eye and just refused to give up.
So how did these guys survive? Well, in Nodirbek's game against MVL, it all came down to a concept called a fortress. It's basically where even though you have less material, you build this impenetrable defensive wall that your opponent just can't break through.
What Nodirbek did was just a masterclass in resilience. He was walking a tightrope. He had to find the only correct move again and again and again under incredible pressure, and he did it. He basically snatched that half point right out of the jaws of defeat.
And he wasn't the only one pulling off a magic act. The world champion himself, Gukesh D, was in a world of hurt against the super-aggressive Alireza Firouzja and had to stage his own great escape. Again, the commentators were just blown away. It was another case of finding only moves. From about move 30 to 40, it felt like every single move he made was the only one on the entire board that didn't lose immediately. Just incredible defensive skill.
So, after all of that, the gut-wrenching near misses, the heart-stopping escapes, the unbelievable tension, what did it all mean for the tournament?
The answer? Absolutely nothing. You look at the standings and they are exactly the same as they were the day before. The leader's still the leader, the people chasing are still chasing. On paper, it's like the day just didn't happen.
But that is the real story here. Because while the scoreboard didn't budge, the psychological landscape of this tournament completely changed. A missed win like MVL's can feel worse than a loss, while a miraculous save like the ones from Nodirbek and Gukesh can feel like a huge victory.
And that leaves us with this final thought as we head into the last rounds. This day of draws, this day of zeros, it created these ghosts that are going to follow these players. And it just goes to show you that in chess, sometimes the most unforgettable stories are the ones that end in a tie.